Hola amigos, welcome back to my channel. The other day we were watching a video from the Savvy Expat explaining what is considered rich in the Philippines, and I got recommended this other video by the same content creator, which it's again called the Savvy Expat. You can see it right here. You can go ahead and subscribe to him as well. He's a creator that uploads a ton of videos about the Philippines and what it is to live there. And yeah, I got recommended this video called How the Top 1% of the Philippines Live. And of course, I'm really interested to see what the luxurious lifestyle over there can look like. We already saw that if you are earning around $100,000 per month, you're considered rich. So let's see what you can do with that money. I'm not sure if that would be the 1%, probably. But yeah, let's just let the Savvy Expat explain it for us. So without any further ado, let's just see what this video has for today. Let's go.
Expats. In today's video, we're getting a peek at how the top 1% of the Philippines live and what would even classify you as part of the top 1% in this country. Alright, without wasting time, let's get into it. So before we even talk about how the top 1% of the Philippines live, we have to find out how much money it takes to be a part of this prestige class. Well, according to the Intelligence Lab at Knight Frank in the Philippines, you need $60,000 in the bank to be considered among the top 1% in Philippine society. Doesn't sound so prestige now, does it? Usually, when we think of the top 1%, we think of all
the $60,000. That's doable.
ultra high net worth individuals. Those that are flying high in private jets, riding in Rolls, and those that consider themselves to be a
genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
aka people like Tony Stark. But on the contrary, statistically speaking, the top 1% of the Philippines isn't tremendously wealthy. To put it into perspective, $60,000 is the median annual income in the US according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So basically, you take your average Joe in America that probably works an office job, give him a one-way ticket to the Philippines, and then all of a sudden, he becomes Leonardo DiCaprio. Okay, well, not exactly, but technically
he has to have it in savings, right, and available. Someone who's earning $60,000 per year in the US, that's probably before taxes, and he also has, or she or whatever, they also have expenses. So it's not like they have 60K in the bank. He mentioned in the beginning you need to have 60K in the bank, and that's still not crazy to think that someone can have that. I mean, it is a lot of money, of course, but to be considered the 1%, that's pretty good.
Technically, you can go from being in middle class in America to being in the top echelons of Philippine society. So really, what's considered to be elite here is not really rich. Now, if you're at the top of 1% of the 1% here, then that's a different story. As for
1% of the 1%, let's see.
Monthly salaries, the monthly household income to reach the top 1% of the Philippines is $3,000 per month. Now, to be a part of the top 10% of the Philippines, you need a monthly income of $1,300 per month. So if you're curious what will afford you a good lifestyle in the Philippines, or what's a good budget, then keep this in mind. If you come here with a budget of over $3,000 per month, you're living like the top 1% of the Philippines. That includes you living better than doctors, lawyers, pilots, and engineers.
I'm a doctor.
If you come here with a budget of $1,300 per month, then you're living like the top 10% of the Philippines. That includes you living better than IT developers, architects, sales representatives, and real estate agents. Then again, keep in mind that this all depends on your personal preference and your standards. A comment that I received on my last video that really sank in was, "It's a bittersweet feeling knowing that my order from Starbucks is the average day's wages for a laborer in the PH. But yeah, the dollar stretches pretty far here." I've never really thought about it this way. It really puts into perspective not only how low most paying jobs are in the Philippines.
Yeah, I've said this in the previous video as well, that this also sounds like Mexico, because when you look at the income of Mexicans, it is also pretty low. And Mexico is also a funny example, because we have, as neighbors, we have the US, which is making, I think, around $12 per hour, and that's even more than the daily salary in Mexico, the lowest salary, the minimum wage salary in Mexico. So they earn in 1 hour what a Mexican earns in 1 day, and they are neighbor countries. So no wonder why a lot of Mexicans want to go to the US to work there, because it's very close in territory, but then the difference of money you can make there is so different. And actually, there's a lot of people that live by the border in Mexico, and they commute to the US every day. So they earn their money in the US, but they live in Mexico. So they really stretch their money a lot. But anyway, this video is not about Mexico. Let's continue watching.
But
I just like to point out the similarities between the Philippines and Mexico.
Wage gap between the average American and the average Filipino. But now that you know what's classified as the top 1% of the Philippines, $60,000 or $3,000 per month, let's dive into how the top 1% of the Philippines live. First off, and most commonly, the top 1% of the Philippines almost always have personal drivers. As I mentioned in a past video, you can hire drivers in the Philippines for as low as $250 per month. They provide the car and everything, you just have to pay for their gas and meals. Secondly, the way the top 1% of the Philippines often live is having a place in the city and in the province. To be honest, you don't have to be crazy wealthy at all for this either. Really, for the top 1%, this is about having the convenience factor and being able to live that hybrid lifestyle we talked about in past videos. So say you have a place in the city, be it Cebu City, Mandaluyong, Makati, BGC, you name it, for $1,000 per month. And then you have a place in the province for $500 per month, then right there, that's $1,500 per month in rentals. As I mentioned,
that's actually a lot of money for rental, especially because you're not living permanently in one of these places. You have two. I didn't get why you should have two places. I mean, I get the hybrid lifestyle, but I don't know. I think I would rather save the money on one rental and just live in one place for the whole time. But yeah, maybe there's a difference I'm ignoring.
$3,000 per month budget would put you in the top 1% of the Philippines. And let me just say really quick, $3,000 per month is the income here that would put you at the top 1% of the Philippines. You're coming here with $3,000 per month budget, then you're higher than that. Anyways, if you opted for this sort of lifestyle and come here with that kind of budget, then that would leave you with $1,500 left for other necessities. So if you're part of the top 1% in the Philippines, then this is doable, which is why many in this category live this sort of lifestyle. And by all means, say you're not in this category, but you want something similar. Well, I suggest that you live just outside of one of the major cities of the Philippines. This way, you're paying the Philippine provincial prices while still having
Look at that apartment by the ocean. That looks absolutely beautiful. I'm moving.
Access to the modern conveniences of the city. There's plenty of expats that take this route, not only because it's more affordable, but also because it's ideal. To be able to live that simple, minimalist life that many expats are looking for, it's very affordable and you're still living the Philippine lifestyle. That's good living for many of you guys. Just like any expat, you still want to be close to the best hospitals. You want to be near the airports. You want access to modern conveniences and services. And you'd want to be near Western restaurant options and near Western infrastructure, all the while not having to pay the Western prices. If that's the case for you, I highly suggest living just outside of the major cities of your preferred choice. While it may be tempting for some of you coming from a Western country to be completely removed from anything Westernized, I wouldn't suggest it. God forbid you have to go to the hospital or need any type of help, you want to be near the advanced parts of the Philippines. Now for the third way that the top 1% of the Philippines live, that is that they almost always have house help. Needless to say, you don't need...
Yeah, again, that's the same in Mexico. Also what he mentioned with the driver, I also have a lot of friends in Mexico that were having drivers, but also because it's dangerous in Mexico. So there's two reasons why you would have drivers. One, because it's convenient, but also because it's dangerous in Mexico, and the drivers, a lot of times, they're also bodyguards. So yeah, I'm not sure if the security factor is a thing in the Philippines, but it definitely is in Mexico. And yeah, in Mexico, you will also have a house help in your house if you can afford it.
You need to be a part of the top 1% of the Philippines to have this sort of luxury. Hiring house help in the Philippines is so inexpensive that it'll hardly take a sizable chunk out of your budget. The average maid's salary in the Philippines is $200 to $300 per month. And so it's no wonder why the top 1% of the Philippines hire maids and nannies. And of course, the value they provide is tremendous. Not only can they clean and tidy up the place, but they'll also go out and get groceries. Many of them can cook. They can tag along on your trips to help with navigating and translating. And it's the whole package deal. All you need to provide them is their salary, a room to sleep in, and sometimes college tuition. Other than that, if you don't want to...
Okay, I haven't heard of the college tuition in Mexico. It's usually older. In Mexico, maybe it would be usually women from 40 to maybe 30 to 60 years old. And I haven't heard of providing college tuition. Or maybe I just don't know about it.
Have to prepare your own meals. The average cook's salary in the Philippines is $300 per month. Ooh, voice crack.
I'm on the commentator's desk.
And if you have kids and you'll be out and about, the average nanny's or yaya's salary in the Philippines is around $200 per month. So these are just a few of the luxuries that not only the top 1% of the Philippines have, but really anybody above a certain class. And the next luxury that's afforded by the top 1% of the Philippines and many expats that come here is taking trips often. With a larger budget, you can afford to stay the weekend at a luxury resort on the beach or a trip to the popular spots of the Philippines. For example, Tagaytay is a popular spot for the top 1% of Manila to get away for the weekend. Again, you don't have to be a part of the top 1% of Manila because plenty of people, no matter what class from Manila, go to Tagaytay, but because it's more expensive than most other provinces in the Philippines, this is where the top 1% go. And so oftentimes they have their own house in this province because it's much cooler here and also the higher elevations. This is probably the most popular getaway spot just outside of Manila. Another popular getaway in Luzon is La Union. Anyone that's visiting La Union is coming here for primarily one reason and one reason only, and that is to surf. Only 5 hours away from Metro Manila, this is the ideal place to get away from the hustle and bustle. Or
all the images that he's using in this video and the videos that he's using in the video, they just look so absolutely beautiful. The beaches, the buildings, the hotels. It just really makes me want to move to the Philippines tomorrow. It just looks so cool. I might plan my retirement in the Philippines. Let's see.
The top 1% of Cebu City, you may find them relaxing at Shangri-La's Mactan Resort and Spa, spanning over 12 hectares of lush scenery situated on a sandy beach with beautiful landscaping. Shangri-La's Mactan Resort and Spa is one of the most exclusive and highest-end places to stay in the Cebu area. This is without a doubt one of the most, if not the most, luxurious beach resorts in Cebu. People come here to experience the private beach, the relaxing environment, world-class facilities, and leisure opportunities. Lastly, the top 1% of the Philippines can often afford trips to the most popular destinations in this country, for example, Boracay. One of the nicest resorts in Boracay, which is yet again another Shangri-La property, is called Shangri-La Boracay's Resort and Spa. It's one of the most expensive hotels in the Philippines, and the resort is on a hilltop overlooking the crystal clear waters of Boracay. Other than that, you have Crimson Resort and Spa Boracay, and plus many other luxury resorts in Boracay. All in all, the top 1% of the Philippines can often take weekend trips to get away. In summary, there's no exact or one way that the top 1% of the Philippines live, but these are just a few of the most common things that they do and that's afforded by them to name. Just as the top 1% can do all of these things that I mentioned, you also have the top 1% that live very minimalistically and simply, and you wouldn't even be able to tell that they're part of this demographic. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of Filipinos and expat that do have this kind of money, but they choose not to show it off as to not get targeted and they don't enjoy that lifestyle. Oh, and I forgot, another thing I must mention that the top 1% of the Philippines do is that they join country clubs. Tennis, golf, and those kind of recreational sports are not often found in the Philippines unless you have a country club membership. That is, if you want a quality course and facility. Other than that, going to spas and getting massages are also done by the top 1% of the Philippines. I didn't get into that because that can really be afforded by anyone in the Philippines as well. So there you have it, Savvy Expats. That is how the top...
Okay, wow, that was interesting. And again, it really makes me wanna visit or move to the Philippines. Let's see what happens first. And again, when I watch these videos, I get surprised by how similar the culture is between Mexico and the Philippines, because he could just rename the title to say how the top 1% of the Mexicans live, and I think the information would be pretty similar. But maybe not the one about having 2 apartments at the same time. That I don't think Mexican people do that. The top 1%. Maybe if they own both houses, there's people that do that. But renting 2 at the same time, I'm not sure. I didn't get that point. But anyway, that was absolutely interesting. Really makes me want to visit, and maybe I will. So I guess that is it for today's video. As usual, if there's anything you'd like me to react to next, please put it down in the comments below, and I'll make sure I get to it as soon as I possibly can. But without any further ado, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I love you, and I will see you next time. Bye.